Welcome to Gulfstream Park West. Welcome to the Gulfstream Park West Handicapping Show. Ron Nicoletti along with Acacia Courtney. And another beautiful day here in South Florida with a fast main track, firm turf course. We got 8 races this afternoon. Before we get into the wagering menu, we got a big day coming up Saturday.
Yes, Saturday will be a big day. It's the Sunshine Millions preview day. Post time will be at 12 p.m. on Saturday, so make sure to mark your calendars for that. We're now going at 12:35 p.m., so a few minutes earlier, so you don't want to be late and miss out on any of that good stuff on Saturday.
Yeah, we'll have a fantastic day. We have 11 races in store for you that particular afternoon. So 12 o'clock post on Saturday. As Acacia said, mark that down. Now we'll run through today's menu. We have an 8-race card. We're going to start it off today with the Super High Five. We already got a carryover to talk about in the Super High Five of $1,700 plus. And also, Acacia will have our first of 2 Pick 5 tickets.
Just a 50-cent wager. That's races 1 through 5 today. And the Rainbow Six will start in race number 3 this afternoon. There's a carryover there as well.
Yeah, over $10,000, so that's starting to build. And as we mentioned last week, they hit it 3 times, so it's been very hittable, a lot of fun. So don't forget, over $10,000 in that pool. And as I mentioned, Acacia will have our final Pick 5 in race number 4 this afternoon. So that is how we see the wagering menu, at least this afternoon. Fast main track, firm turf course, couple of nice carryovers. Let's go right into the first race today. Mile and a 16th on the turf. Claim is fillies and mares 3 and up. Non-winners of 2 races in life. No scratches, jockey changes. 7 runners in the field. How'd you see your Pick 5? I always want to say Rainbow
It's
Six.
one of those.
Pick
We're going to
5.
start. Well, let's pick a wager, and we'll start with the early Pick 5. We'll go with that one. I actually went 4 deep in the opening leg here. You see my single comes a bit later. That's going to be in race number 4 with the 5 horse there. I think that one just really looks like the one to beat. That's going to be with Cav. That's just me trying to keep it affordable here. Is he a complete lock in that spot? No, he's not been the most consistent runner, but I thought he's the most likely to get the win there in that spot if I'm trying to go a little bit deeper in a couple other races. Again, this first leg being one of them.
Yeah, I mean, Cav, you're going to get a price with Cav. Not a big price. I mean, it's not going to be an odds-on choice. I have it on top, too, so I'm in agreement with you. And this first race, you're right, it's pretty wide open here. I can understand it going 4 deep. I went with the number 7. Bruner in here is stepping up to face winners. I want to go back and show you this performance of this horse last time out. And this was to win her 12-5 debut. I thought they didn't know what they had in here when they started this horse because it was very impressive. We're going to show you the start here, of this day when she's the number 11. And she just busts out of the gate and goes immediately to the lead here. So she's going. She's got a tough post. And you see she just goes up and takes command here and stays this way throughout. So you think she used a lot of energy to get position there coming out of the gate. You see her dropping over now. And here she is in the stretch. They make a little run towards her, and she just cruises away, 11.5 lengths. This is a 12-5 debut. I thought it was very important. And what I like about this horse, Efren Loza Jr. is strong. He's really strong with horses making a consecutive starts. So I just thought after that performance, I'm going to go right back with this horse on top of my ticket.
Well, I agree with you that maybe they didn't exactly know what they had. She was the first-time starter in a field of horses that were pretty well tested, and I think it was a pretty weak field all in all. So the biggest obstacle for her was going to be that outside post. She handled that nicely, showing the speed there. We'll see if she can repeat that kind of performance. As you mentioned, she wasn't really impressed at all, even in the latter stages of the race. But I landed on a horse that I think might sit a nice trip behind her. I imagine that Bruna, again, coming from the outside, not as far outside as she had before. I imagine she's going to show speed again. But the number 2, Celtic Embrace, is coming off of a 3rd-place finish last time. Pulled early, but was forced to settle a little bit. I think that she's going to be a little bit more forwardly placed, and I don't think that she's going to let Bruna run away with it on the front end. I think she's going to sit pretty tightly behind her. And Kathleen O'Connell is the trainer. This horse is 4 out of 5 in the money at this distance as well. This mile and a 16th on the turf does have a win here at this distance. And Paco Lopez is going to be in the saddle. And we talk often about how sometimes those trainer jockey stats are the ones that get overlooked a little bit. So I want to highlight when Kathleen O'Connell and Paco Lopez team up together. This is in the past 5 years. 10 for 38, that's 26% win. 21 for 38, 55% of the time in the money. And I think a very good ROI of 276. So when they do team up together, they've had quite a bit of success. I like to see him on this horse.
Yeah, and I mean, that last race for Celtic Embrace was up at the Meadowlands, so shipping down here. And Kathleen O'Connell throughout this whole Gulfstream Park West meeting, the horses have looked pretty nice in here. I went to the inside. You have it in third. Fourth, I have it in third. And that's Breakaway, debuting locally after ending her turf campaign in the Windy City with a second-place finish, beating the neck. That was a 16-2 lifetime claimer. Going this distance was on a good turf. It was at Arlington Park, and I just thought after performance, I give this a horse a shot to run well in here. Embassy El Jaramillo will be in the saddle handing it at an inside post.
Coming off of about a 2-month freshening last race on September 9th, I agree with you. I think it was a nice performance there. It was wide and running late. I think leaving off the number 3, Like a Girl, is at your own risk, if you will. This one for Jenna Antonucci, taking a drop in class from 25 non-winners of 2 up at Belmont to this 16 non-winners of 2 here. Edgar Zayas in the saddle.
Yeah, I mean, a horse that you certainly got to give a look to. I was trying to get a little cute in there with, but I like Bruna on top. So after that, I'm going to hang my hat with the number 7 horse, and I was just very impressed with that performance. And I think against 2 lifetime competition, not stepping up, and you'd think sometimes a barn would step this horse up and go right, way over its head, kept it at a logical level. So a pretty nice race for race number 1. Oh, and by the way, 0 feet on the rail again this afternoon, so they'll be running along the hedge throughout the day today. Race number 2 this afternoon, 5 1/2 furlongs. Maiden claim is fillies, 2-year-olds. $12,500 is the claiming level. We do have a jockey change on the 5. Make the rider Luis Castillo. And this is what you look up on the dictionary under Wide Open Affair. This is what you see when you see this race.
Yeah, this is kind of one of those races that I often say, well, somebody's got to win. So I landed on a first-time starter in here. Sometimes if you have a couple horses that haven't been able to get the job done yet, maybe it is a first-time starter that can surprise. So I went to the number 7, Simmered Stella, for Antonio Sano. If you look down we talk about this a lot recently, his first-time starter percentage is not very high, but especially here at Gulfstream Park West with the ones working here locally over this track, he's had a lot of live firsters in here. This one has a pretty solid Gulfstream Park West tab and going to debut with Lasix.
Yeah, all things being equal, and certainly on this race, you would think that a first-time starter might be the way to go. We have our top 2 flip-flop. I went with the 6 Monogamy. He was wheeling back after returning from a layoff, went up and set the pace, hard to finish 6th at this level and distance. You would think there's going to be some positive performance after that. The trainer is Dane Kaminsky, Roberto Alvarado Jr. Rationing her speed again. So I went with the horse that showed some speed last time out, but if the first-time starter won it, I wouldn't be surprised. I closed it out with the 1 Critical Humor, debuting for Harold Schultz, working on the farm, so I'm doing a little guesswork with the number 1 horse here.
Doing a little bit of guesswork for me with the number 5, Miss Racy Bike, who's taking a big drop in class and going to get the apprentice allowance with Carlos Hernandez aboard.
Let's take a short break. We'll come back and show you my Rainbow 6 ticket.
Next January, 12 horses, $1 million buy-in for a $12 million purse. It is the world's richest race. It is the Pegasus World Cup.
Welcome back. I'm Ron Acacia here. We're going to take a look at our third race. 6 furlongs maiden claiming fillies, 2-year-olds, $50,000 the claiming level, 8 in the field. And as I mentioned, we'll show you my Rainbow 6 quickly right here. And boy, this is a wide open affair. If I had the choice and wanted to, just put a ticket up there, I could go double what I show you today. I went 2 deep, 2 deep, 2 deep, 4, 2, and 3 to keep it affordable, $38.40. But there is so many different options in each race, and that's what makes this bet so much fun. And because it's a 20-cent wager, you know, this is a guide you can add or subtract from each and every race in here. But I did start it off in here with the number 2, Adosinda, and I'm interested to see how you went.
Well, I landed on the number 2 as well. This one found a sloppy track in her debut. Finished behind a nice Kathleen O'Connell runner named Wildcat Kate, who actually won by 15 and 3/4 lengths. So talk about a runaway winner. Adosinda, excuse me, was, I guess, best of the rest, really. A solid second ahead of the rest of the field if you cross out that runaway winner there. So did manage to finish second. Been working nicely up to that. That was on October 20th, so coming back pretty quickly, and we'll have a fast track.
Yeah, trained by Jenna Antonucci. You got Edgar Zayas in the saddle, and I just think you're absolutely right. The best of the rest last time because nobody was beating Wildcat Kate that afternoon. I know you went with the 3 in second, and that is Nikki Bella, who's the daughter of Bellamy Road, debuting for trainer Victor Barboza Jr.
Well, this one's going to debut with Lasix. Had a very sharp work in her most recent one. That was October 29th. Went 3 furlongs in 34 and 4. So certainly looks like she might have a little bit of zip coming out of the gate. And I want to give a trainer stat on Victor Barboza in the past 5 years with 2-year-old first-time starters. And it's not a huge sample size, and you see a very big ROI, so probably some big prices in there, but it was the percentages that really appealed to me. 4 for 13, 31% win. 8 for 13, 62% of the time in the money. And again, that 567 ROI, it looks like, again, probably had some big prices, but those percentages mean that maybe he doesn't do it a lot, but very strong.
Yeah, and they drilled him a couple of 3 furlong works. Looks like this horse, they're trying to put some speed into her. I split the 2 and the 3 with the number 7, Clouded Appeal, is another that's coming back at the same level and distance after responding to a switch from the turf to the dirt, with the 3rd place finish behind Adosinda, and of course 3rd behind Wildcat Kate. So off that performance, and I think these are the logical 3 that we have on our ticket.
Yeah, Clouded Appeal was in that slop, just a nose behind Adosinda. So you like Adosinda, I think you have to give another look to Clouded Appeal, though she's kind of been all over the place in special weight and stakes, and it looks like this might be a better location for her there. I closed out with the 1, Catherine's Dream, who's dropping from special weight to claiming.
Yeah, and you saw my Rainbow Six ticket. I actually went 2-3 on the ticket because I was afraid of that first-time starter, Nikki Bella, for Victor Barboza Jr. So, as I mentioned, keeping my ticket affordable. Only went too deep there. If I had a choice, I would have added the 7, too. I mean, I did have a choice, but I want to keep it affordable. Nobody said I couldn't. Race 4 this afternoon, 5 furlongs on the turf. Turf course is listed as firm. 0 on that rail setting today. Maiden claim is 3 and up, $10,000. 7 runners in the field. Not many scratches on the card this afternoon. So this is where we start our final pick 5 of the afternoon. I always want to say Rainbow Six, and you have a ticket.
We got it that time. Let's go to my ticket. And Rana, I totally agree with you that this is a wide open. It's really hard in the latter half of the card to single in on anything. So $36 for me, but I went too deep in the first 3 legs, 3 and 3 in the last. I actually have the same 3 horses as you in the final leg. So hopefully we get to there and we can get one of those 3 home. Again, $36. Just, I thought it was wide open, and there were a couple horses you could make a case for. If you remember, in the early pick 5, I did single Cav in here, but as I mentioned, I don't know if he's a complete lock.
Yeah, I mean, Cav is hoping to get a faster pace up front to help his stalk inside. Look at that race last time out. He sat behind Pedestrian Factions of 23 flat and 47 and 2 when 4th at this level and distance.
And I want to go back and show that performance again. Came from off of the pace there. This is from October 27th. Cav was the number 5 that day. He was far back. I think that this race looks better watching it than actually on paper. I think if you watch it back, that's why it's sometimes so important to go back and watch those replays. Again, you see he's wide there. He comes running. Daddy Duke, who was out on the front there, was just much the best that day, and that was after 5 in the money finishes for Daddy Duke. So it was just finally his day. You see the number 5 Cav is still wide there. Again, I think the race is deceptively better than it appears on paper.
Yeah, I mean, nobody was going by the winner after setting those early fractions in that race. And Cav trained by Dave Casson and his MSC Al Harami in the saddle. And I struggled with this race. I kept going back and forth, and I ended up putting the 5 Cav on top along as you did. But I did go with the number number 2, Spark to Ignite in second, who's another who tracked those slow fractions last time out, finished third in front of Cab. Mario Morales, Tyler Gaffalione handled the rematch. So my theory was, if you like Cab, you sort of got to have the number 2, Spark to Ignite on top of the ticket. And as I said, I struggled, and I just went back to Cab. So I would not be shocked if you got your single home in this race with that horse.
I think it's definitely a potential. My biggest problem with Spark to Ignite, of course, is that he's 0 for 21 with just 3 in the money finishes. Yes, he finished third last time, going the 5 furlongs on the turf. So we'll see if he can improve off of that performance and continue up there with Cab. But I did use the number 3, Indy Forest, who was second last time out in his Gulfstream Park West turf debut. Ahead again of Spark to Ignite and Cav. That was in that same race. So I thought he might be able to move forward off of that. Sammy Camacho in the saddle.
And the trainer now, it changed Barnes now under the tutelage of Javier Negrete. And if I remember right, he had the last winner of the last race that paid 70 to 1 yesterday. So this one was 47 to 1. Seems like it should win because it's only half the price.
There you go.
So how else did you see it? You got the 4 and 3rd. I went with 4th, and I went to 1 in those 2 races. So, I mean, my day sort of goes through Cav too. You know, I just thought I kept going back and forth. And what screwed me up on that was that pace was so slow. You know, the turf court had some cut in it that day, and they were running. So I think you cross out the winner's performance. Not that it wasn't fantastic, but it looks like he had it its way. Let's go to race number 5 this afternoon. 6 furlongs, claimers, 2-year-olds, $20,000, 7 in the field, no scratches or jockey changes in here. And we are in agreement with number 2, Over Limit, who's dropping to this level after shipping in from Woodbine to finish 4th. There was a 35 optional claimer at the distance, a gelded son of Overdriven, and Tyler Gaffalione heading the second start in the Sunshine State. You needed that last one. Comes down, run. I think he should run well in here.
I think so too. And if you remember, I really liked this horse last time out just based off of the ability that it looked like he had. But maybe he just needed that one race on the conventional dirt after 2 races on the poly up at Woodbine. Actually crossed the wire first in his debut, was disqualified and placed second, came back and won next time out to kind of back up that performance. But then I think it was, I agree, a useful 4th last time out. Tyler Gaffalione stays aboard and just a notch easier.
Yeah, and I went with the 5 and 2nd on the drop. Continues his descent down the competition ladder, looking to recapture the ability he displayed, breaking his maiden at the $25,000 level in September. So I'm going back, and I went off that performance in September, and I thought if this horse can run like that again, this is a spot where he can run well.
Yeah, I think that there's going to be enough speed in here for him to potentially run at, but it was a late kick there in his maiden win. He won just by a neck, and he's been continuing to drop since then. Maybe he's found the spot, but it's just big drops going down and down and down. So I landed on the number 7, Vivid Image, who won on the slop last time. I'll give him that, but he was in pretty good form finishing in the money before that. I don't know about repeating the win in here, but certainly I think able to hit the board.
Yeah, I put him on the ticket too, but you know, like I said, I think the race looks pretty good for number 2, Over Limit. And we both used the number 1, Mechanics Finest, stepping up, stretching out. Hang On Gamely last time out to defeat 25 maidens, going 5.5. Mark Paisley, the trainer, Edgar Zayas, going for 2 in a row, is taking that jump up. It's so hard to figure out if horses, you know, go to the next level and can handle it. But I thought this one was pretty game last time out.
And if in the case that the 5, Charlie the Greek, is not able to get there in time and there is enough speed, Mechanics Finest is one who can sit a nice stalking trip.
Yeah, well, race number 5, you see our selections up there, sort of in agreement, just boxed around a little bit there. Now, race number 6 this afternoon is 1 mile and 1/16 on the turf. These are maiden claimers, 3-year-olds and up, with $35,000. And we both went with the number 2, Beneficiary, on top of our ticket. This one stretching out to 1 mile and 16. Shipped in from Delaware Park into the David Fawkes barn and finished a rallying 3rd against this level of competition. Going a mile, I like the bullet work recently, 47 flat.
Yeah, and I'm going to go back and look at that performance because not only has he been working well since then, I think that there's a little bit more excuse than you might even see in the running lines there. You see the comment that he lacked room, but he also broke out a bit at the start. It was the number 9 there that day. Just kind of took a bit of a right turn there and drifted out, and so was very wide and had to be hustled up on the outside. So maybe he didn't get up to the front, but he had a lot to make up. He was kind of tossing his head a little bit, didn't look very comfortable pulling, and it took him a while to settle after being unsettled at the start there. And then we're going to cut, and he was running up at the end. And see, it was actually 12-1 that day. A bit of a price, lacked room to run. He had to go wide again, and he managed to get third, beaten only by a length and 3/4. So he certainly didn't have the cleanest trip that day. Had to steady a couple of times in the stretch, and again, just was wide throughout. Imagine how much more energy he used. Hopefully he gets a clean trip today.
Yeah, and just a cautionary stat on beneficiary on David Forks over the last 5 years. Second start after the layoff on the turf, only 13 for 121, 11%, 36% in the money with a small ROI of $1.14. Everybody knows David Forks is an excellent trainer, so this is a stat like I said, wanted to put it out there so maybe you make a decision and you don't single it, but you use it on your ticket there. So beneficiary, as you see, we both have it on top of our ticket, so I'm in total agreement with you. I went with the number 8, looking up in second, is looking down to the $35,000 level again, a level where he was beating a nose up at Monmouth in July after hitting the board in one of 2 outings against $40,000 maidens up at Belmont. Timmy Hill's doing an excellent job. He's come in and won a couple of races last week with limited starters, so his horses have been coming down from New Jersey and running well. Roberto Alvarado Jr. in the saddle this afternoon.
I had him on there for those reasons, but he was 0 for 11, beaten 6.5 lengths last time against $40,000 maidens. Yes, he had a second 2 back, but certainly doesn't look to be the most consistent type, maybe against this level of competition. As you mentioned, the barn's been going well, so I had him in 4th there. I went with the number 4, recalibrating in second here. This one's stretching out from 7.5 furlongs to the mile in a 16th, a $300,000 3-year-old gelding by Malibu Moon. Finished 4th last time at Gulfstream Park after a pretty troubled but game trip against $40,000 maidens up at Saratoga. So maybe a stretch out here, and now has a little bit of time now in the Florida sun, so a little bit more use down here.
Well, you know, the morning line favorite in this race, you have in 3rd, I have in 4th, is the 5 of Mace. I mean, it's Todd Pletcher, it's Edgar Zayas. I was not enamored with its first 2 races, so I mean, I put it on the ticket. And would I be shocked if this horse won? No, but I just thought of those performances. He's going to have to show me more.
Off of those performances, and hasn't run since October of 2015, so it's about 13-month layoff here. Coming back as a first-time gelding, yes, Todd Pletcher, very strong off of a more than 180-day layoff, over 30% actually, so he's used to having horses come off the layoff, but it's just always a bit hard for me to take one that hasn't run in that long.
Yeah, if you remember my ticket, I actually added this horse in there just to, for a cover, because I can't tell you how many times Todd has jumped up and knocked me out of the Rainbow Six when I thought his horse couldn't run well. So, I mean, when you always got to give him that second look, you know, in the when it's Todd Pletcher, even coming off that extended layoff. Race number 7 this afternoon, a 1-mile claiming event, 3 and up, non-winners of 2 races in life, $6,250. We got 1 scratch in here. I think this is the first scratch of the day, if I remember correct.
Yes.
That's number 3, Kimchi's Strike, and we both started it off in here with the number 4, Thunder of Fleet, making the 3rd start of his current form cycle today.
And was beaten just by half a length last time out. Lionel Reyes stays in the saddle. I thought it was a pretty solid finish last time in that race. It was ahead of Gran Identidad, who's another one in this field that we both have on our tickets. And as you mentioned, 3rd start in the form cycle. It looks like this is the distance where he likes to be as well.
Well, I want to go back and show you, talking about Gran Identidad. This one is hoping for a trouble-free journey. Was in that race with Thunder of Fleet, but watch this. First, we're going to watch the start here. You're going to watch the start on this horse that day, and he is the number 1, and you're going to see him here. He didn't come out of the gate, did he? So he's last, and if you see this part, I mean, he is in last in the early going in the race. Now turning for home, and you're going to see right here, gets hit in the face with the whip, which slows him down right there, knocks him off his momentum, but watch him. He keeps coming and coming. So double trouble for this horse. He got hit in the face with the whip, and he ran pretty well afterwards. There you see him coming. He still has a chance to win it, and I thought that, lifting his head up just knocked him off stride, and he's still able to rally to finish 3rd. So he broke bad. He got stuck behind the field. He came running really nicely late, got hit in the head with a whip, and still ran well. So Gran Identidad, I think he needs a second look for you.
Yes, I agree with you. I had him on for all of those reasons, and he's really rounded into good form since moving over into the Victor Barbosa Jr. barn, and I agree. Hopefully he gets a little smoother trip around the track this time out than he did last time. I used the number number 9, Kid's Kid, just based off the current form. Again, I don't know about winning in this spot. He is a nice late runner. Roberto Alvarado Jr. is going to climb aboard. Finished second last time behind Legacy Dansor, who came back to win yesterday. So coming out of a good race, was actually ahead of Thunder of Fleet in that race there. I think he's one to have on as well.
Well, the horse I went in third with was a horse 5, Magno Ejemplo, who's wheeling back in just 6 days and can turn out to be a major part of the pace when stretching out to a mile. And if you look at this race, I think it's really light in the speed department. So I think this horse, even though off that short turnaround, I think this horse may be able to carve out a trip on the front end. We showed you Grand Identidad coming late, Thunder of Fleet, so maybe this horse gets up there and steals it in here. They're bringing him right back, and that is the concern, the short turnaround. But I think he's got that tactical speed where he can be dangerous in here.
That's why I threw on the number 6, Battle Red. He looks like to be the only clear speed in here. I agree with you that Magno Ejemplo might be on the front end, but Battle Red dropping in class and does have some of that early zip that might be key.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, it's always good. You know, the great equalizer in any race is speed. So we'll see how that works out for race number 7. Now, race number 8 this afternoon. 5 furlongs on the turf. Maiden claimers, fillies and mares 3 and up, $10,000. Big scratch in here of the number 6 horse, My Kind of Cat, and he was one of the major contenders in this race. And I find this as being a very wide open race. We got our exacta flip flop. You actually got the same super, just mixed up a little bit. You started it off with the number 9, and that is Matchbook Lily.
Well, this one, I'm willing to kind of give her another chance, if you will. I did like My Kind of Cat in this spot. I agree with you. Big scratch there, one of the key players in this finale race. But Matchbook Lily is going to have Tyler Gaffleone in the saddle here. Was eased and walked off last time on a sloppy track. So back on the turf here. Also cutting back in distance. And we'll only have to do the 5 furlongs back to 1 turn on the turf. And we'll run against the easiest she's ever faced before. It's a big drop in class. So lots of questions. Why the big drop after being eased last time and back over to the turf, the cut and distance. So it's a lot of things coming together. But it's the respect for the connections as well as from Mike Maker is the trainer again, Tyler Gaffleone.
Yeah, and I mean, for all the reasons you mentioned, I have that one on my ticket too. I think you could sort of put a line through that one. The only concern, as you mentioned, is the big drop off to being walked off the track. Just didn't seem to handle the sloppy going last time out. Number 10, Starship Rainer, is plunging to this 10,000 level. First start since finishing third. That was back-to-back $35,000 maiden races before the layoff. Steve Dwoskin has the daughter of Cowtown Cat. Working consistently for the return, but you can use the same logic that you use for Matchbook Lily with this horse. Why the drop off the return, you know? So, like we say, a wide open affair. We got these 2 flip-flop.
Right, and Starship Raina hasn't run in about 7 months. The last start was April 3rd, so off of that layoff, and had been running consistently against $35,000 maiden. So that big drop, yes, another concern. But I do think that it looks like through the comments, and she's been bumped at the start a lot. So it looks like getting out of the gate is her biggest thing. Coming from that outside, if she does show a bit speed, she might be a bit more dangerous. I use the number 7, Broadway Broad, who's cutting back to 1 turn on the grass as well, and taking a drop in class after fading against $16,000 maidens last time. Second off of a bit of a freshening, Jonathan Gonzalez up.
Yeah, you know, going back to Starship Rainer just a second, maybe the outside post will be good for her because she seems to get bopped around a little bit. So numbers 10, Starship Rainer. But I think we have the logical 3 on our ticket. We both closed it out with the 4 global warning. Roberto Alvarado in there, so for Mike Morrison. So I just think that this horse can run well in the final part because you can have a getaway superfecta wager in there. That's how we see this Wednesday card. So 6-day week we had. We've already been through 2 of them. The early part of the second one because we're coming back a little while right after we get the update scratches from our track announcer, Chris.
What do I love about horse racing? Everything.